Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. So, hello again. My name is Michael Burke with Interdon BMI, and we have just a few housekeeping items to go over before we begin. Here's an overview of our free upcoming webinars hosted throughout the upcoming months in case there are any on here that interest you that you haven't yet seen. You can find more information about each webinar on the events page on our website, and this is also where you can find a link for registration. The next webinars for next week are scheduled both on Thursday. The first is Solving the Cloud Integration Challenge with Scribe, and the second is Microsoft Power BI. What is the excitement? And next, we're excited to announce that we're hosting monthly GP 2016 product tours. If you're thinking about upgrading your ERP system, this webinar will be a great way to find out if GP 2016 will be a good fit for your organization. You'll get an inside look at the platform and see how it compares to previous versions. We just had this month's product tour this morning, so if you missed it and do want to watch it, then check out our Interdon BMI YouTube channel where we upload all of our webinars and related videos. And next, you can also join Interdon BMI at this year's Amplify conference from March 20th to the 22nd in Anaheim, California. This is a great conference for those who missed GPUG Summit in October, and if you're interested in registering, then visit gpugamplify.com to find out more information. And if you are attending, then go ahead and send an email to Kim Peterson. Her email is on the slide here, and we can work on meeting during the conference. And today we'll be focusing on, so what is the paperclip for? You mean I can automate reporting? And your presenter today will be Brian Wilton from Interdon BMI. And just the last items to go over here is we started the call by muting everyone. So if you have any questions during today's presentation, please use the question box feature or the raised hand icon, which are both located on the dashboard on the right-hand side of your screen. And we will be recording the session and uploading to YouTube. And lastly, we'll have some time for Q&A with Brian at the end of today's webinar, and we'll be covering all the questions that have been submitted. And that should cover all the housekeeping. So let me change the presenter back to you, Brian, and I will let you know when we can all see your screen.
Okay.
Coming in. Yeah, looks like you got GP up.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Thanks, Michael, and good afternoon for most people. Good morning for some, I guess. Thanks for joining us. Today's session is going to really be to talk through how the new document attach feature works in Dynamics GP. If you've been on the software for a while, you know the doc attach was pretty old, and it did kind of what it was supposed to do back in the day. But you know, technology changes, and so Microsoft really ramped up this particular feature and really gave us a lot here to think about. And so what we're going to do is kind of talk a little bit about the setup and talk through how it works, and then we'll get a customer set up for document attach, and then we'll actually do a sales transaction and see the documents come over and then email that out. And so the doc attach really is one part of it. It allows us to do simple things like attach a document, and that's good. So that's okay. In fact, we'll just take a look at something very quick here. And so if I just go into, let me just go to a vendor card. Not that one. So if I wanted to just attach a contract or something on a particular vendor, you know, I can use the little paper note here. And so this window really is the same window that we've had for 20 years. And of course we can do type, you know, our notes here, and that's kind of an old way to do it, but a lot of people still use that, and for good reason. Just so if you want to make a few internal comments or notes, and of course most of you know this is on any transaction, any master record, that Notepad is really virtually throughout the system, and so there's not a place that I think you won't find that. And then you can attach, and of course you get the little visual cue here that we have lines on the notepad or on the note page. You want to call it a post-it note really, but the lines show us that, hey, there's something back there, and so 5 years from now, if we wanted to go look and see what that was, we'd be able to retrieve the information. And if you type like this, like I did, there's about 46 or 47 pages, 8.5 by 11, single-spaced, you could actually load about 47 pages of 8.5 by 11 single-spaced text into this window. And so it's technically not unlimited, but I've never really seen anybody type quite that much in there. And so, and because it's not searchable, um, you know, it's not like OneNote or something where you could go easily retrieve those comments if you really filled that up. But really what they reworked was the Olay container. And so the paperclip here used to actually open the Olay container, which to some degree still does. It's just been reworked. And so when we click on the note or the paperclip there, now I actually happen to have a scanner attached to my computer today. If you don't have a scanner, you won't see this this Windows window pop up. And so really this is really just the Windows kind of printers and devices box that's popping here, and Dynamics GP sees that I have more than one scanner. And if I just had one, it wouldn't actually pop the window, it would just go through. But I have my scanner set up in there a second time. It's the exact same piece of hardware, but I have it set up a second time so that people can see what might pop up if you have multiple scanning devices. And I'll just say OK, and it makes a quick connection to that, make sure it's out there. And this is actually the new document attach window. Now this is where the new stuff starts, and so we don't go into the old kind of Olay container that was more Windows based. We go into a Dynamics GP window, and we have two tabs. We have active and deleted. And so deleted, you can probably figure out what that is. Active is again, you can figure that out. It's those documents that are actively attached to this master record in my case. And so because I do have a scanner, the scan button is lit up. And with GP 2016, it'll actually scan multiple pages from a document feeder. If you're on GP 2015, the scan button was there, but it only scans one page. And so, you know, it's a little bit cumbersome because if you had a 5-page document, you could scan it 5 times, but you would get 5 separate documents kind of coming into this window. And so, yes, it worked, but yes, it was very cumbersome. And so Microsoft kind of tweaked it a little, and with 2016, we can actually scan from a document feeder unlimited pages. Now it will not scan multiple pages from a flatbed scanner, and so if your scanner is only flatbed, meaning you lay the paper on the glass and close the cover, it still assumes that every flatbed scan is a separate document, and so it will scan multiples, but they're going to show up as separate documents inside of the Dynamics GP document attach window. And so to get the multi-page scan, you do have to have the scanner have a document feeder on it and be working. Of course, you can click attach, which is what I'll do, and you can go out into anything you might have, and any type of electronic document is acceptable here to attach into Dynamics GP. And so we'll just get a couple of them here. And so this allows us to browse out to any network or local drive and just grab anything that might be out there. And just as GP has always done, this actually makes a copy of the document. And so if that original document got deleted from the drive, that's okay, because it's now part of our Dynamics database and our company database, and so it'll get backed up along with our GP data. And so here, you know, we could put a little description here if we wanted to kind of type notes, and so of what this document is, and so that's perfectly available there and acceptable. If for some reason we need to preview the document, so not uncommon, if we said, oh, I wonder what that document, I wonder what that is. Oops, that opened on my other screen here. So, you know, this is a Pepsi case study, PDF. And so, you know, GP has the ability to open any of those documents that we might attach. And so pretty easy to do. Lots and lots of room here. There's technically no limit to the bottom of this window, although I did see somebody say it's about 5,000 documents, depending um, on what you attach. So again, kind of like the old window where you're typing, there was officially a limit, but not something that most people will outgrow. And so this is good. This is kind of the replacement for the prior document attach. The one thing that we do now that was not done then, if we say, well, we're going to take this document off and just remove it, and so it's gone. Now, most users probably would think that that is deleted at this point because I'm logged in as the SA, so I'm kind of the system admin today. I actually have access to the deleted tab, but not every user might see this tab. And so this tab holds the documents that are deleted and puts the date and time stamp of the user who deleted the document. So, if you get into a situation where there's something that's a little less than desirable going on and somebody goes and deletes some information, GP doesn't actually delete it, it just tucks it into this deleted tab, and then someone with the right permissions then could come into the deleted tab and see what's going on. And so that's kind of a nice feature, and so we'll just leave it like that, I guess. And so that's good. That's kind of where the old system ended, and that was the end of it. And we can still do all of that, but really when they built this new document attach system, they thought through it a little bit now and came up with a way to have documents flow, if we want, from a master record to a transaction record. And so what's that mean? Well, let's say you're doing a customer order or a customer invoice, and you have a terms and conditions sheet that you really want to go with every transaction. And some people had that information printed on the back of their invoice. So if you remember back when we printed on PinFed carbonless invoices, we might have a white and a yellow and a pink or something. A lot of times companies had terms and conditions printed on those documents. Well, we may or may not be able to get that to happen with GP Report Writer, but this is a really good way to do that doesn't cost anything. And so we could also have instructions. So maybe we sell something and we need to put instructions in the box. And it could be assembly instructions. Think about a return if you're doing sending a return out to a customer. So you produce an RMA, so Return Merchandise Authorization. Well, a lot of times you want to include shipping information or return instructions, what has to go in the box, and so forth. And so you can have those documents all now part of your GP system and have those flow to the transactions from your master records. And so let's take a little bit of time to talk about the setup, and that's going to be under our company setup. So Tools, Setup, Company, and then the new entry here on the Company Setup menu is the Document Attachment Setup. And so when we select that, we see a couple of things here to fill out. Of course, we want to allow document attachments, so we'll have to check that for all this to work. And then it's asking for the default location. Well, that's just when I was attaching documents to my vendor record, and I kept browsing out to my Windows kind of file explorer, it's browsing to this path. And so that's really up to you if you want to put that in there. If you have scanned documents that go into a certain spot, that's a good thing to put in there. A lot of times if you have a scanning device, a network scanner in the office, so photocopiers typically do scanning now, well, those scanners will typically scan into a folder, and so you could just path this out to that folder. But again, up to you. You don't have to have that in there. If you want to delete the file after you attach it, you could check that box. So, if you scan maybe with a network scanner and that goes into a shared folder, and then you come into GP and you want to attach that if you want, GP to go back and delete that document after it retrieves it, you could do that. Of course, you know, that could be dangerous if you're expecting the document to stay out there. But if you scan directly into GP off the document attached window, then you don't need to go through that. It does not go to a file share and then come back. It goes directly into GP. And so this really is only applicable if you're actually scanning outside of Dynamics GP with another system, and then you're parking those documents somewhere on a file share. The maximum file size, you do want to set that up to what the maximum is, the 999.99. Some IT folks might want to limit that in the organization, and that's fine. We understand that. But for the most part, it's nice to be able to take the room if you need it that's available. So that does have to be set. When you first open this window, it's at 0, and it will make you set it to something. Okay, and so then if you want documents to be deleted, you could potentially put a password in. So if you uncheck the box, then documents can never be deleted. And you know, you may or may not want that, but if you do want documents to be deleted, and remember they move from the active tab to the deleted tab, and then from the deleted tab they can be permanently deleted, but in this case we're going to ask for a password, and so that further puts the integrity of the document system into a little bit stronger category. And so over on the right here we've got some attributes. Now I haven't set any of these up, but you know, we could call one a customer document. We could call a vendor document if we want to, you know, have some kind of attribute that we're assigning. Those really don't do anything. They're really just for you to attach to different documents if you like. And I guess, you know, at some point if you wanted to create a report on all kinds of documents or a smart list or something, you might be able to refer back to these attributes. But I haven't figured out an overly useful process to work with those, and so I just left mine blank. And so then the last thing is really what modules do we really want this to work in, and so and this is actually the flow from the master record to the transaction record. So again, if we had a terms and conditions, or we had assembly instructions that we wanted to flow over to a customer order, we had return instructions to flow to an RMA document. It's really those types of things that we're telling the system here. And so I have mine turned on to allow the documents to flow from a customer record, so customer maintenance window, over to a sales transaction. I have mine turned on to flow inventory attachments to a sales transaction, or any other inventory transaction for that matter. I could turn vendor on. I could turn time and expense, project time and expense for employees, so employees could attach expense records and receipts and so forth. But I've turned those off, and so we're going to work really with just customers and the items today. And then the very last thing is if we were to email a document out. So if we were to email a purchase order out of GP out to a vendor, or we were to email a customer's order, a customer invoice, or quote, or something of that sort out of sales order processing, or a receivables document out of receivables management. If we use the word templates to do the email, do we want those documents to actually be attachments into the email? And so I've said yes, I do want to do that. And so so that's really all of the setup there is to the document attach. And then because we're working with customers and items at this point, I'm going to flip over to my sales system, and we're going to go into my customer cards up here. We're going to go into a customer, and so we'll just pick our top guy here. And what this looks like when there's attachments is you see the attach icon with the paperclip, and so that's kind of the old Windows method of saying, hey, there's something back here. So there's a piece of paper on my clip here. If I go to a customer record that there's no documents attached, I just see the raw paperclip. So I just see the little blue paperclip there, and it's waiting for me to make attachments. But for those that are attached, I'll see a slightly different icon. And so if I click on this, and again, because I have the multiple scanners, or at least GP thinks I have multiple scanners, I'm going to answer that question. And so what I have here is I actually have a PDF of our terms and conditions, and that I just went out and grabbed and put onto the customer record here. And then I have something else here that's just a PDF. And so these two are kind of on my customer card, but you'll notice over here that based on my setup, these documents I have set to flow. So this is the flow. If you hover over the icon there, you'll see that that's the allow the documents to flow, meaning it's going to flow from the customer card or the maintenance record over to or down to my sales transaction. And both of these are going to flow. And then because I said in my setup I do want the documents to be able to be emailed, then I have a checkbox in the send attachments and email. And so that means that the documents will be able to be attached to an emailed invoice if I so choose. And so both of those should move into my sales transaction. And so that's what we would do on our customers. And of course, the vendors, if we do document attachments on vendors, it's exactly the same thing, identical. And so, so let's just go ahead and save out of this. And before we go into the sales transaction, I'm going to bring up an item here, and I've got the old 100 XLG. And you'll notice that on this inventory item, I also have a document attached because of the icon there. And so here I actually have what looks to be a JPEG. So let's take a look at that. And yep. Oh, so I do have a picture of the grain phone. And so when I click on preview, then it opens the image. So, you know, this works with any electronic file. It's not just a Word document or PDF. It's not just a quote document, but I'm here attaching an image so that I might want to be able to see this image when I'm in the order entry system. And you'll notice here that I have this set to flow to my sales transaction or anywhere I use an inventory item, which could be purchasing or an inventory transfer. And I also have this set to be emailed as well. And so, so good. So now we're all set. And so now if I flip back over to sales and we go in and we'll just enter an invoice here. And again, this could be order or quote or whatever it might be. So I'm just grabbing an invoice here to shortcut it and just kind of take some of the defaults here. I'll put this in my GPUG batch and put a PO on there just at random. And I'm going to grab that 100 XLG and we'll just do one of those. And so nothing unusual there, pretty straightforward. But you'll notice that the document attach paper with the clip is showing here. And if I go to, let me save that. If I go to another transaction or just a new transaction, you'll notice, there's a couple, you'll notice that if I don't have any documents to attach or attached, that I get the blue paperclip just like I did on the master record. And so that's your kind of consistent visual cue that, hey, there's something back there. And so let's go see what's back there. And so here I've got the terms and conditions and this GL307 PDF, whatever that's going to be. And so those moved from the master record to the sales transaction here. Under Actions, under the Actions button, you have the ability to select the document attachments that you actually want sent. And so here we have my terms and conditions, and we can have this default, and so we don't have to open this up, but I have it stopping. This is actually a setup on the customer side. I have it stopping so that we can actually pick. So those are the two that are attached, but because I sold that 100 XLG, you notice, and there was a picture on that item that flowed, you'll notice that I have access to the picture. Now that's not attached as a document per se, but that's actually available now because it flowed over to the sales transaction, and I can decide, do I want that to be an attachment to the email? And so yes, in this case I do. Sometimes you might not want that. You might just want to make it available, but you might not actually want to send it. And some of these could be rather large, and so if your company has a policy on the size of attachments, or your customer in this case, or your vendor, whoever's receiving the email, might have a size limitation. You want to be logical. You don't want to send a 5 gig file or something that that most mail systems are probably not going to allow through. And so these all look pretty good, and so I'm going to go with that. And so again, I'm trying to be paperless here, so I'm not going to generate an invoice per se, but I am going to email it. And so I'm just going to click on the email button. Of course, I've already got my email address in there, and it's mine. And so that will show up. Here it is. That will show up in my Outlook. And so here's the email from Fabricam, and I have 4 things, and they're all opening on the other monitor. How about that? And so here's the invoice. So again, just the Word template, kind of the out-of-the-box thing here, nothing fancy there. I haven't modified that or even taken time to put a logo on it. So there's the invoice. Yep, that's what we'd expect. The green phone. And let me get that guy over here. So you saw that on the master record, and so that's going along with the invoice. And my terms and conditions, and as I said, that really is our terms and conditions, and so some of you might have seen that. And so that goes along in PDF form, and then I don't know what this GL, looks like a GL printout here, so but again, just another PDF. And so that would all then go on just as we've instructed it to, out to our customer. And again, that works the same way if you're doing a purchase order and you wanted to send something along to the vendor. Maybe you've got special instructions or shipping information, or maybe you're returning something to a vendor, so you've got kind of an RMA going the other way, and you need to send them some information and so forth. And so that really is the new document attach. And I think a lot of people don't take advantage of that. It's very simple to set up. You saw it's literally a minute to set it up. Of course, you do have to get your customer and vendor email addresses in there, and those folks that you actually want to email to. So there's maybe a little bit of effort there, but people that use this really do enjoy it because it does cut down on paper. I would never say that we're all going to be paperless. That kind of came out in the 90s. We're all going paperless. Well, just like we were all going to the moon, most of us haven't done that. So paperless is probably not realistic, but certainly less paper is. And so this, I think, is an easy way to use the out-of-the-box functionality of your Dynamics GP system to not have so much paper file storage. And I'll put a plug in for the emailing of the invoices. If you get the invoice out to somebody's hands a little sooner, you might actually get paid a little sooner because they've got it right now instead of 3, 4, 5 days for mailing and so forth. And so Michael, I'm sorry I couldn't stretch that out for the entire hour. I knew that wouldn't take all of 60 minutes, but do we have any questions sitting out there, or anybody think of anything that we should revisit?
We haven't had anything yet, but yeah, we can let everyone take a couple minutes to think it over, and if they do have any questions, then now's the perfect time.
And while people are thinking, the document attach was reworked, I believe, in GP 2013. In 2015, they added the scanning. In 2016, they added the multiple page scanning. Let's see, I think that's probably all they've done to it. I'm pretty sure the flow, where you can flow the document from the master record to the transaction record, I'm pretty sure that was there back in 2013 as well. That may have been a 13R2 feature, but sometimes it's difficult to keep track of what they do when as we move through these versions. But it's really a pretty cool feature if you can find some use for it. You see, it's not the most complex part of the system by any means. So,
Well,
all
yeah,
right.
thank you for giving us a great presentation. We didn't have any questions submitted, so we can go ahead and wrap up now. And if any later questions do come up, you can feel free to reach out to Brian Wilton, myself, or your account executive. And yeah, on behalf of Interdon BMI, we just want to thank everyone for your attendance and have a good rest of your day, everyone.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.